Welcome back to Free Media. I'm Robbie Soave.
I'm Emily Jashinsky. Now, mainstream media is going hard on misinformation, past and future, after Donald Trump's decisive election win on Tuesday night.
Here's Morning Joe blaming alternative media and misinformation for the Democrats' defeat.
A lot of very legitimate discussion here about how Democrats lost this. Yep. But I just got a text from a member of Congress saying, something else we need to look at is how people are turning to social media, podcasts, and other non-traditional sources for their news, and also news stations that aren't news. And I canvassed in all of the battlegrounds. I was shocked by the amount of misinformation voters were truly repeating back to me. Truly shocked. I do believe this is what caused the collapse of the Democrats nationwide. You cannot win when people believe lies.
But I
think that's fair, too.
This is a big part of the story that it's hard to even digest fully at this moment. But you have Elon Musk, who owns Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it these days, X, who is a disinformation propagandist and now has could potentially have a direct line to the Oval Office.
So hearing them say these things does not surprise me at all, and I expect in the coming days that misinformation, disinformation will emerge as the chief culprit from the Democratic media standpoint for why Kamala Harris lost. There's already so much panicking about this subject from national security experts, media people, Democratic politicians. They can no longer control your sources of information, and that disconcerts them, and they know it's stopped them from having a stranglehold over what the narrative is. You know this just as well as I do as a member of the alternative media ecosystem, online media, where different dissident perspectives have actually found a home. They hate that, it drives them nuts, and they're going to try to destroy it.
Yeah, there are two copes that will really hurt the Democrats in the long term because we're already seeing it pan out. The first is blaming bigotry when, again, their candidate won 48% of the vote, likely it'll turn out in the popular vote, and B, disinformation. We saw there was this moment, the heady days after the 2016 election, where it was unclear whether the coastal elites actually that Chuck Todd referenced earlier when he was digesting some of these results that were getting things like Latinx wrong, when they were thinking long and hard. And when I say long, I mean for about 48 hours.
Yep.
And when I say hard, I mean not that hard, about what they got wrong. And it seemed like it was possible. There was a glimmer of hope that some of them would improve, genuinely. What we saw this October when Gallup's media trust ratings came out was a tie for that record low that it dipped last year after dipping back to it in 2017. The media is getting worse. It is getting less trustworthy. And so right now they are at another fork in the road. They can choose to keep going in the same direction. And if they do, it will be by clinging to the disinformation cope and the bigotry cope. Or they can choose to create a better path for themselves to defeating what they'd see as Trumpism and the MAGA movement. And that would be rediscovering how to appeal that they're losing. Working class voters, non-college educated voters, Hispanic, Black voters. Come on. It's not going to be disinformation that's going to get you those voters back.
You're right, but they're not going to do that. They're going to blame disinformation, misinformation. They're going to, just like they blamed when they lost in 2016, Mark Zuckerberg emerged as the chief culprit for allowing too much foreign influence on Facebook. That became the dominant narrative for years. It took a lot of really good reporting to expose how that was all just not true, that so targeted Russian bots swung the election was nonsense, but they all believed it because it let them off the hook. It let Hillary Clinton off the hook from running a terrible campaign. This time, they're already saying it's X and Elon Musk. There's too much bad information on X. Even though, I love when on social media, it's true, there is things that are wrong on social media all the time.
You're on social media all the time.
Yeah, so is Points in the Breaking Points extended universe. When we get things wrong, or when there's some AI-generated picture that Elon, I can't believe cats are being devoured in the streets, what there's note under it with someone explaining why it's wrong. There's this real-time, community-generated fact-checking mechanism that seems to work pretty well, and you have that on social media. I think it's incredible, and it's mostly just they're mad because they don't control it. They're going to seek to control it. Yep. They're not in power, thankfully, but if Democrats were in power, if they could hoodwink more Republicans to go along with this, they would want crippling, crushing regulation to make it impossible for social media to function.
And that's, Republicans winning the Senate happens in the House, but that could be what stops this. It's going to, I agree with you. I mean, I think the calls for regulation are going to mount higher and higher. And
Elizabeth Warren is going to write letters to every major communications company saying, why did you platform X, Y, and Z?
And then just what they're telling you is they think you're stupid, right? Disinformation has absolutely always existed. I don't disagree at all that it's fueled on social media. What they're saying is you're too dumb to decide for yourself.
And that it's just social media, even though it's existed on radio and TV. I mean, the
bar stools, literal physical bar stools for years.
Some of the most American, which is not even a pejorative. Most people are not well informed about politics in the same way that I'm not well informed about how to perform brain surgery, because it's not my job.
Yeah.
They don't. It's not their job to know a lot about politics. It's fine for us all to be ignorant on a variety of subjects, but they're just listening to radio or TV all day, and no one is punishing on those platforms. It's the new thing they're so freaked out about.
100%.
The thing where we alternative media people thrive.
And they're allowed to propagate their own disinformation as much as they please.
Yes.
And make their money off of it. Yeah, of course, while smearing others.
Yep. Well, that is going to be something we're going to be paying a lot of attention to in the coming days. I can tell you that. Thanks so much for watching Free Media. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.